Some older people would recognize this album cover. Yes, Supertramp, The Logical Song. Way ahead of its time. And the name, this album was called Breakfast in America. The lead singer wrote The Logical Song, which the lead singer was Roger Hodgson, wrote it based on his experience being sent to boarding school for 10 years. And it's a very interesting song. I mean, I have a point here, so just bear with me. But this is some of the lyrics, talking about when he was young, it seemed that life was wonderful, a miracle, beautiful, magical. All the birds in the trees were singing so happily, joyfully, playfully. But then they sent me away to teach me how to be sensible, logical, responsible, practical. And then they showed me a world where I could be so dependable, clinical, intellectual, cynical. I said, watch what you say, or they'll be calling you a radical, a liberal, a fanatical, criminal. Won't you sign up your name? We'd like to feel you're acceptable, respectable, presentable, a vegetable. And basically the point of the song. There are times when all the world's asleep, the questions run too deep for such a simple man. Won't you please tell me what we've learned? I know it sounds absurd. Please tell me who I am. Do you know who you are? Let me rephrase that. Do you know who you are outside of this world? Does anybody? Because that's ultimately what's going on here. For those that know who they are outside of this world. Again, that's why Jesus said don't be careful attaching to this world. Didn't mean not to love people, but don't attach to what this world tells you. Because when Jesus said the wicked one runs it, it's around every corner. Well, that meant your education system. How do you know what to believe? The education system has been the perfect trap, to mold people into a box of what is true, what's not. And then because it complicates things that don't need to be complicated, but they do that because then you say, oh, I'm not that smart, I have to look to experts. But they never tell you who you are. They just tell you there's no God. Which then leaves people feeling empty and like, well, what's the point of all this? Well, no, there is a God. That's why Jesus said, the wicked one runs this place. The wicked one set up the education system. Again, it's the same thing, people would praise medicine, they praise science because they discovered antibiotics. They discovered it. They didn't create it, though. That's a very important difference there. But what this world did, because it was easy to do, was get you to think, oh, science is all expert and knows everything. And then Tucker gets some new Harvard experts on there to tell you, no, all those other experts were wrong. And we're here to tell you the truth about health. But it's just more Harvard experts. So I'm sure that God wouldn't be real happy with that. Again, I don't think God's real interested in experts because nobody is one. But what's important to understand about antibiotics is it was in the terrain. I mean, some people discovered it, yes. And then pharma went on to create it synthetically. Synthetically. The important thing to realize here is the reason they had to synthetically create it because they are not allowed to take it. Why aren't they allowed to take it? Think, and this is the truth, they can't take it because they didn't create it. Oh, it just happened to be there. So then the science said, oh, we got to do something. We got to do something so that people don't believe in God. Let's come up with the Big Bang Theory. Everything just exploded, and it all just operates organically this way. So, in just this organic way. But it was just a big explosion that happened. Yeah, so that makes total no sense at all. You have to be a total idiot to believe that bullshit. But the science needed to do that. The science had to do that, yeah, because we can't get the people believing in God. No, we can't have that hope thing. So do you know who you are outside this world? Most of the higher educated don't. I don't think because the longer you spend there, or you're just, yeah, you're being filled with all this knowledge. You're going to have a bunch of degrees that you can look at and worship and say, oh, look at what I've done. I'm such an expert. But you don't know who you are. And some of you have been so molded into the box of what this world wanted that I don't know that you can, because to know who you are, you have to know who you are outside of this world. Only way you can know that is the biblical God. Biblical God explained all this. It's in the Bible. Most people just don't bother to read it. More importantly, many people may read it, but what they don't do is pray to God about the parts that confuse them. That's where the Holy Spirit comes in. But anyway, so I had an awakening, as I said, 30 years ago when I got sober. But that awakening wasn't an awakening to how corrupt the world was. I didn't know that. I just knew there was a God. That it was that awakening that happens going through the 12 steps. Then, I would say in the spring of 2020 is when I realized that all of the cobwebs came off the eyes, all of them. And I realized, because I struggled. I said for years, it's like, why do the right thing? Because when you do the right thing, they go after you. In this world, this world is not fond of people that do the right thing. They tell you, they give awards to a bunch of people that didn't do the right thing. They just say they did. Many of them anyway. Because this world is about not doing the right thing. This world is about complicating everything, so you need experts to explain everything to you. But most people don't ever stop to think that, you've been molded into this ideology and that ideology, and it's really rather simple. It's this world that complicates the hell out of everything. That's the way it always be until God has to set the equilibrium back right again. And which would mean that after this world and all the experts and all the Harvards and Yales and Ivy Leagues and the court system and the 3-letter agencies and all the people with the highest of education that have completely taken the blind, following the blind into nowhere man land, eventually God has to turn it all upside down again to set the equilibrium right. So it's important to know who you are outside of this world. Because many people won't. So when I had that second awakening in the spring of 2020, I realized it was like, God said, no, that's going to happen to you. You stood up for the right things. You did what is good and wholesome in my eyes. So I strengthen you so that you'll keep doing it. That's what I do with my children, so that they keep standing up against it. This world will award all the people that don't do the right thing. This place will do that. But while they're doing that, I am going to raise up my people that will continue, even in the smallest of settings, to do the right thing. But you can expect that you will be knocked down every time you try to truly stand up for the right thing and speak up. And the only reason that dawned on me finally after so many years of praying to God, like, why? God, I stood up, I did the right thing. Why, God? Why? It was suddenly, that was the full awakening I had at that moment. That the whole world is corrupt. Jesus said that it was. Jesus said the wicked one is around every corner. It runs the government. It's in everything. You can trace all the money back you want to, but ultimately God told you who is running it behind the scenes. And it's something wicked. So it's best to know who you are outside of what this world says. If you can know who you are outside of this world, you will understand that who you are is a child of God, and if that's what you choose to be. Again, that's a choice. God doesn't, unlike the wicked, God doesn't force it on anybody. They can suffer their own consequences if they don't want to believe. But eventually God has to set it all right again and set the equilibrium back to a baseline so that some reality can come back to this place. So if you know who you are, then you know you're a child of God, the biblical God. And you know that this is how it was going to be because Jesus said it. And then you understand why Donald Trump came when he did.